Sorry guys, this song gets me going just a little bit. All right, here we are. Welcome back. All right, let's see, let's turn this music off a little bit, turn my jam off for a minute. All right, let's go. All right, welcome back to another episode of Shoot the Hoot Raw. Hope everybody's doing well. And first off, belated happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, because honestly, you know what? Moms were the original cybersecurity awareness trainers. Do you know that? Don't talk to strangers. Don't trust random people. Lock the door. Turns out mom was basically an MSP this whole time. And today we're talking about something a lot of MSPs struggle with: selling cybersecurity awareness training. That's right, selling that training. Because let's be honest, most prospects are not sitting around thinking, you know what sounds exciting today? Mandatory compliance videos. But here's the thing, people do. They do care about protecting your business or their business, reducing risk, keeping clients happy, passing insurance requirements, and not becoming the next headline in tomorrow's paper. The problem is most MSPs are trying to sell cybersecurity awareness instead of helping people and their prospects experience why it matters. And guess what? That changes everything. So today we're talking about it: how to make cybersecurity feel real, how to create urgency without those fear tactics, and how to turn awareness training from a boring checkbox into something people and your prospects actually value. All right, here's how this is going down today. If you sell cybersecurity awareness training, this episode might save you from your next painfully awkward prospect meeting. First up, our 5-minute rant: show, don't tell. This is how you sell. Because most MSPs try to sell cybersecurity training like it's accounting software. Boring. Feature list, dashboard screenshots, a 94-slide PowerPoint that nobody asked for. Meanwhile, the prospect's thinking, cool, but why should I care? Today, we're talking about how to make prospects experience the value instead. Then, CyberHoot Nerd Update. Autopilot just got smoother. We've got UI updates, smarter scoring logic, performance upgrades, and generally fewer moments where technology makes you question your life choices. After that, open mic Q&A. Show the value before you sell. We're answering the real MSP questions. Should you let your prospect sample training? How do you avoid sounding fear-based? And what's the fastest way to prove cybersecurity value? And finally, our Hoot-worthy horror story, MGM 2023. They didn't hack in, they talked in. Not walked in, not hacked in, but talked in. One phone call, one help desk interaction, and suddenly one of the biggest hospitality companies in the world is in chaos, which is a pretty strong reminder that human risk is cybersecurity risk. So buckle up, because today's episode is all about making cybersecurity awareness easier to sell by making it easier to experience. Let's get into it. Let's start with the hard truth. Most MSPs, are terrible at selling cybersecurity training. Not because the product is bad, not because clients don't need it, but because they sell it like this: here's our platform, here's our features, here's our compliance modules. Meanwhile, the prospect is sitting there thinking, cool, so anyway, how much is this going to cost me? People don't buy cybersecurity training because you say it's good. They buy it when they experience it. And honestly, listen, I always go back to this. Steve Jobs figured this out a long time ago. Apple stores weren't built to sell technology. They were built to let people touch it, play with it, experience it. Because once people experience value, the sale becomes easier. And MSPs should be doing the exact same thing. Don't start with the pitch. Start with the experience. Show them a phishing training, a dark web hit, a cybersecurity report card, a quick training module. Make cybersecurity feel real. Because once a prospect sees their own domain issues, their own risk, their own employees' passwords, here you go. You're not selling anymore. They're asking questions. And guess what? That changes everything, right? So nobody gets excited about a PowerPoint. People get excited when they see their problem. So once you start loading, start leading with those features, what should you lead with instead? Let's talk about it. All right. Most prospects don't buy cybersecurity training like software. They buy it like insurance, meaning they don't wake up excited to purchase it. They buy it because they're worried about risk. Cyber insurance is asking questions. Clients are demanding proof. Vendors want security validation, or they've already had a scare. So stop pitching features first. Stop. Instead, start asking questions. Things like, are your auditors asking about cybersecurity training? Has your insurance provider increased requirements? What happens if an employee clicks on the wrong thing? Because the moment they start talking about their risk, now the conversation matters. And let's be honest, human risk is still the biggest problem in cybersecurity. You can buy firewalls and filters and AI tools and fancy dashboards all you want to, but eventually someone still clicks something dumb. That's not pessimism, folks. That's just Tuesday. All right. And here's the important part. When prospects feel understood, they stop feeling pitched. Now, you're not selling training. You're not selling training. You're helping them reduce risk. And those are two very different conversations. The most expensive cybersecurity tool in the world is still powerless against Dave from accounting clicking on that urgent invoice attachment. So once you uncover the risk, how do you make it real enough that they actually take action? So here's another mistake that MSPs make. They think cybersecurity sales have to be built on fear. It doesn't. You don't need to shame people. You don't need to scare people. And honestly, nobody wants to feel like they're being lectured. What you do need is evidence. Evidence, hardcore evidence. Because nothing changes their conversation faster than showing your prospect their actual exposure. Not generic threats, not scary headlines. You want to show them their environment, their domain, their risk. Show them dark web findings, exposed credentials, failing SPF, DTM, and DMARC checks, typo-squatted domains, phishing exposures, cybersecurity report cards. Now, folks, the conversation becomes real. But here's the important part. Don't stop at the problem. Show them the path forward. Show them this can actually be improved in a way that employees don't have to hate, right? Because the best cybersecurity awareness programs don't feel like punishment. They feel engaging. They feel positive. They feel interactive. They feel even fun. They feel, that's CyberHoot, right? And that matters because people learn better when they want to participate. Now, not when they feel embarrassed, right? So instead of, your users are terrible, the conversation becomes, look how much stronger your organization could become. That's completely different emotional experience. And honestly, that's where CyberHoot shines. Not just showing risk, but helping organizations improve it without turning cybersecurity into a miserable compliance exercise. Because the goal isn't to shame users. No, it's not. It's to build a culture where people notice threats, they ask questions, they pause like a boss, and feel good about making smart decisions. Then once prospects see the risk, the visibility, and the improvement path, the conversation changes from, do we need this, to how quickly can we start? Nobody wakes up excited about mandatory cybersecurity training. They don't do it, but people will engage with something that feels useful, entertaining, and doesn't treat them like they're criminals. So now that you've shown the risk and you've shown the path forward, how do you actually operationalize this inside of CyberHoot's Autopilot? Let's walk through it a little. All right, so here's where this becomes extremely powerful, because now you're not just talking about cybersecurity awareness, you're demonstrating it. And this is where our Autopilot CyberHoot, makes life ridiculously easy for MSPs. Here's the playbook. Step one, give the prospect access to our foundational 5 training videos, not 47 training modules. Don't make them select their own training, the foundational 5. Don't give them a giant compliance dump, just enough to let them experience the platform. Let them watch a few short videos, see how approachable the training feels. Realize it doesn't have to actually be painful. Because the moment the employee says, wait, that was actually pretty good, or hey, that wasn't so bad, you've already won half the battle. Next, step 2, launch a single Hoot Fish training. Nothing crazy, just one. Just enough to create awareness, conversation, and give them just a little taste, right? And here's the important part. Use it to show how interactive fish training can be fun. Use it to create visibility. Once you've done that, enable the dark web scan. Now you're showing exposed credentials, compromised accounts, real-world exposure. Then you stack in your domain checks, your SPF, your DTM, your DMARC, your typo-squatting exposures. And suddenly you're no longer pitching training. You know what you're delivering? A cybersecurity assessment experience. And the best part, Autopilot helps package all of this into a clean, easy to understand sales report, which means you walk into the meeting with proof in hand, right? Not guesses, not fear, evidence, hardcore evidence. And here's why this works so well. Most MSPs show up with slides. They do. You show up with their data in hand. That's a very different meeting because the reporting is automated. This scales. You can repeat this process, prospect after prospect, without reinventing the wheel every single time. That's the magic. Not just better cybersecurity awareness, a better cybersecurity sales process. Most cybersecurity sales calls feel like, here's, they feel and sound like this. Here's 97, slide PowerPoint. Nobody asked for, right? Meanwhile, your prospect just wants to know, are we at risk or are we not? So let me show you how easy this actually is to enable in Autopilot. It's demo time. Let me share my screen here. I need to take this off. Oh, I'm full screen. No way, get out of there. Boom. All right, Autopilot. Let's go through Autopilot real fast to show you how easy this is to do. So when you have a new tenant, right? Let's say you've got a new tenant or a new possible prospect, right? What you want to do is go into Autopilot. You're on your tenant dashboard. First thing you do, go over to the next, click on this Add Tenant. Once you add the tenant, of course, put their name in. I'm just going to put some test. I might actually create this one. I want a bunch of them in my demo environment. Support at cyberhoot.com. By the way, the best support team ever. Multiple languages. HR person. This is who they're going to be contacting. Who just escalations, excuse me. jdoe at example.com. And then this primary tenant domain. This is important. So you want to put your customer's domain in there. This is used for the SPF, DTM, DMARC checks. This is used for your type of domain exposures as part of all of your cybersecurity report. All right. Next, local managers. I'm not worried about that in this discussion today. We're going to go past that real fast. Next, turn on the training. Yes, give them the training. Remember the foundational 5? Give them the training. Start the training on Monday or tomorrow as soon as you can. Send them out once a day or all at once. Let them experience the foundational 5. That's just default to monthly. It's fine. Also, turn on Hootfish, right? Maybe if you do these, one a day, maybe have Hootfish start like 6 or 7 days or 6 days after that, or both at once, doesn't matter. And then you put it, you can leave the default there. Just only have it on for a little bit of short time. Attack fish, industry, the way the industry does traditional fish testing, not training. Hootfish is our training, right? Our positive reinforcement patent pending positive training, right? That's what that is, right? Now, Tatfish, this is how everyone does testing. I recommend turning that on right now. You know why? You have to do white listing to get everything through. Unless you have the prospects, you have them saying, yes, let's go ahead and set this up. Meanwhile, I wouldn't turn it on, at least for the first day. It just puts more work. But if you really want to do that, you can always turn it on and send out an attack fish simulation, right? Now, I would definitely enable the dark web. Of course, you want to monitor that. If you've got more than one domain, add the domain in here. Example2.com. Can't spell 2.com. Add that in as well, right? Custom Hoots, no need to do anything custom now, unless you want to create a custom video and assign it out to them for them to experience it or tell them about it. That's up to you. Once you're done, features, I'd make sure the welcome email is turned off. Let's not do that. Don't worry about the limit trains weekdays only. That's fine. The dashboard, leaderboard, that's always a good thing to have. And then everything default. Put your branding, or have your branding from your partner settings will come in, or you can actually override it with the branding of the customer if you want to. Change the branding right here. Boom, hit next. Once you're done, you're going to review and you're going to add that tenant. Now, again, I don't want to add my tenant in my demo environment. We get too many of them in here already. But once you click on add tenant, what's going to happen is it's going to throw you into, I'll go into one of my deployments here, one of my tenants. It pulls you into the page looks like this. Now you might say, well, now that I've added I've enabled the train, I've added it, you need to add the users. Go over to your little next, it'll slide out now. Hit on users. You can add the users here via enter ID, Google, one at a time, or via CSV upload. Add the users in. Boom, you're done. Once you've added the users in, they'll show up here. And then guess what? Train just starts off based upon the schedule right here. You can see the schedule. The foundational ones will be right here. You can review and see what's actually happening. Awesome sauce, right? Very quick, very easy. I just did that in like just a couple minutes. You saw how fast it was to easily set it in secure training, right? And get this done. Now, let this run for a couple weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, right? Once the 2 or 3 weeks is done, you've got all the participation that you want. What I would do next is I would come into here and I would grab a report. Come here, and you go to this generate now. Come here, sales report. Look at that one. A lot of people don't know that's there. Click the sales report, email it to yourself, to someone, or download the report right here. This is that evidence. I'm not talking about the evidence you walked in with and you say, I'm going to sell. This is how I'm going to sell. Here's the evidence. That report is your evidence. Everything you need to make a sale is in that report. Thanks to our vSISO team who's put that all together for us. Boom, it's available. Once you've got them done, you got that sales report in hand, then what you should do, it takes time to do appointments and stuff with your prospect. I would go in now. I go to my settings. And I would come down to the bottom here, and I would archive this tenant. We might say, why, Chuck? Why archive? You know why? Because one thing that we do in CyberHoot is we're your partner. We want you to be successful. Whenever you add a new tenant to our platform, we give you 30 days free with that tenant. I don't care if you've got 1 user or 100,000 users, you get 30 days free. That allows you to give that foundational 5, that Hoot fish training, that sales report. It gives you time to do that without us charging you anything. You don't win the prospect, you don't get charged for it. If you do win the prospect, not a big deal. You just come back in, right? But for now, archive them. Once you archive, you just on that archive button, it pops you back out. They kind of disappear. It takes you back out to your tenant dashboard here. You're out. Now, with that evidence in hand, go and make that sale. Remember, show them their data. Show them the value, right? Show them how they can improve things. Not how terrible they are, but how you can improve things. Once you do that, you make that sale. Bingo, sales done. But I turned it off. Yes, you did. No problem. Come back to your tenant dashboard here. Click on here. Go to archive tenants. Find the tenant right here. Click on the unarchive, hit that execute action. What that's going to do is bring that tenant right back into the fold. All their trainings are going to be there. It's going to keep going right from that point. All right, super simple, right? Super simple. In the worst case scenario where you don't get the tenant, just leave the tenant off. You're not going to be charged for it or anything, right? Just leave them archived and you're done and move on to the next one. Super, super, super simple. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing here now. I'm going to go back to my screen here. Boom, and here we go. That's how easy it is. Okay, so now that we've walked through the actual playbook, let's take a quick look at what we've done recently inside of CyberHoot in the last week in development. It's time for our nerd update. All right, this week's big story. You probably saw it in the demo. Autopilot got a facelift. You probably noticed that during that demo, we've been refreshing the Autopilot user interface, making it cleaner, making it smoother, and more on brand with where CyberHoot is headed. Because honestly, good cybersecurity software shouldn't feel like you're operating a submarine from 1997. It should feel modern. It should feel intuitive. It should feel fast. It should feel easy to navigate. And that's exactly what we're continuing to improve every single day. Now, behind the scenes, we also made additional database performance improvements, which is the least exciting sentence in technology until something gets slow. Then suddenly everybody cares. So we also improved the risk score algorithm. Now, if a customer hasn't running attack fish campaigns, or you don't have a tenant running an attack fish campaign, the score system intelligently skips the weighting instead of skewing results. Yeah, sorry, we were skewing results there. That's fixed now. So translation, smarter scoring, more accurate reporting, less weirdness. And finally, we added informational popovers for suppression emails, which basically means less, wait, what does that mean? And more clarity right inside the platform, because small usability improvements matter. And honestly, that's what this whole update is really about. Now, making cybersecurity, we want to make cybersecurity feel easier, cleaner, and less frustrating, one improvement at a time. So, all right, now that Autopilot is looking and operating smoother and sharper, let's open things up and talk about selling cybersecurity awareness in the real world. But first, you know what's coming. Boom. Right? But first, be the first to email cybersales10 to shootthehoot@cyberhoot.com and get 10% off your next invoice. Type it in, click send, and get that 10. And if you're not watching live, no worries. Email us anyway. I may just give you the 10% off. I'm a nice guy like that. The only catch is you're limited to 1 discount per month. All right? Let's get moving. I know this episode's a little bit longer today. This is the demo, so we're going to get moving fast. All right. It's opened up. If you have questions, throw them in there. Right? Because this is the part that MSPs always ask about. How do I actually sell this stuff? And honestly, the good news is you don't need to become some slick cybersecurity salesperson. You just need to stop sounding like a product catalog. So jump over to our first question. All right, first question here. Should MSPs give prospects free training? Absolutely, right? 100%. Give them free training. And I know some people hear that and panic, like, wait, what? Give them the product? Give away the product? Yes, because experience creates confidence. You might walk into an Apple store and just tackled for touching a MacBook. People trust what they can interact with. So let them try the foundational 5, experience the platform, see the Hoot fish training, review the report card, because once the prospect sees value themselves, the sales conversation gets way, 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 way easier, right? Question number 2, let's keep it moving. I know I'm moving fast now. I hate to keep you guys past 18 or 20 minutes. It really bothers me. So I'm trying to go fast. How do I avoid sounding fear-based, right? How do you avoid sounding fear-based? This is a big one. Don't lead with doom, lead with due diligence. You're not saying everyone is doomed. No, you're saying, here are a few risks we've noticed. Here's how we can improve them. right? That's a completely different tone because businesses don't want to feel attacked. They want to feel guided. And honestly, positive reinforcement works better anyway. Nobody improves after a salesman says, your users are terrible, right? No, they don't. Be positive. All right, our last question here. Let's keep it moving. What's the fastest way to prove value? Easy. Show them their data, evidence. Show them the evidence, right? Dark web findings, password and leaked accounts, domain issues, SPF, DTEM, DMARC gaps, typo squatting exposure. Because generic cybersecurity stats are forgettable, but seeing your company on a report, that gets attention fast. And the moment that a prospect says, wait, can you send me that report? Congratulations, you're not chasing the sales anymore. Now they are, right? The best cybersecurity sales process doesn't feel like selling. It feels like helping someone finally see the problem more clearly. And speaking of seeing problems clearly, let's talk about what happens when a human risk gets ignored entirely. All right, boom. We may have talked about this breach before, but for this episode, there may not be a more perfect example of why human risk matters. So back in 2023, MGM Resorts International got hit by a cyber attack that caused absolute chaos. Slot machines stopped working. Hotel systems went down. Digital room keys failed. Payment systems broke. Guests were standing around Vegas like, so now what, right? And here's the wild part. Attackers didn't hack MGM the way people imagine. No hoodie in the dark basement. No dramatic movie hacking montage. They picked up a phone. Seriously, a phone. The attackers researched employees online. They called the help desk and convinced someone to reset credentials. That's it. One conversation, one successful social engineering attack. And suddenly, one of the biggest hospitality companies in the world was in crisis mode, which is exactly why this episode matters. Because cybersecurity awareness training isn't really about checking the compliance box. No, it's about teaching people the pause, right? To verify, to ask questions, to recognize manipulation. Because eventually, every firewall, every filter, every fancy cybersecurity tool still leads back to a human decision. And here's the scary part. The attacker didn't need technical brilliance. They needed confidence, timing, and someone willing to trust too quickly, which is why MSPs shouldn't sell awareness training like it's boring software. You're helping clients defend against attacks. That start with something as simple as, hey, can you help me real quick? Hackers didn't hack MGM. They talked their way in. So, and honestly, this may be the most important cybersecurity lesson of all. Let's wrap this episode up. Oh, we got you too late. 22 minutes in. What are you doing to us, Chuck? I know. So if there's one thing I want MSPs to remember from today, it's this. People don't buy cybersecurity awareness training because you dumped enough features on a slide. They buy it when the risk feels real, the experience feels approachable, and the value becomes obvious. That's the shift. Stop selling training like software. Start demonstrating it like protection. Because once a prospect sees their dark web exposure, completes a phishing training, reviews their cybersecurity report, or experiences the platform firsthand, the conversation changes completely. Now, you're not trying to convince them cybersecurity matters. No. Instead, they're asking, how quickly can we get started? And honestly, that's how the best MSPs sell security awareness. Not with pressure, not with fear, but with visibility, trust, and with experience. Because at the end of the day, cybersecurity awareness training isn't really about videos or phishing tests. It's about helping people make better decisions before attackers force them to learn it the hard way. So listen, show, don't sell. Let them experience it. In the words of Forrest Gump, that's all I have to say about that. So thank you guys for joining me on another episode of Shoot the Hoot Raw today. Until next time, I want you to laugh, I want you to learn, and I want you to hoot up. Hoot up.